Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, December 17th. So today we do have the moon in Aquarius energy, going void, of course, at 7:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will be locking into Pisces energy at 2:59 p.m. So anytime that we're moving out of Aquarius energy into Pisces energy is always a rough transition, mostly because we're moving out of this emotional detachment that we were gifted the opportunity to have with the moon in Aquarius energy. Again, the whole purpose is for us to act as the observer in that Aquarian energy. And then we do a deep dive into the emotional realm in Pisces energy. It hits us like a wave, if you will. And of course, the Pisces energy being the last sign of the zodiac, this is a time to rest, to unwind, to tie up the loose ends of the past in order for us to have a clean slate in order to dive into a new lunar cycle. And of course, we have a lot happening here this week. If you haven't listened to the ascension forecast for this week, I'm definitely going to recommend that you go do that, because this is going to play a very, very important part on summarizing this experimental phase that we've been in, especially throughout Sagittarius season. And as we approach the solstice, which at this point is only a couple of days away, we're definitely being tested. We are definitely being thrown curveballs, especially from the past. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, in order for us to really define our vibration, our signature frequency that we are going to be working with when we enter into the new karmic chapters that, of course, are coming at us with the solstice energy. So the Pisces moon is very spiritual, very healing, very transformative. Equally, it's overwhelming, it's confusing, it's a little bit delusional, and we definitely have a lot to unpack. So with that being said, there are 11 different aspects taking place here today. 9 of them are going to involve the moon. So the moon, while still very much in Aquarius energy, is going to semi-square, creating a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict with Mercury. Mercury, of course, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, who is currently retrograde in Capricorn energy. This is an instance where our heart, the moon, and our head, Mercury, not on the same page at all. A lot of that is because Mercury, of course, being retrograde, is focusing in on the past, while the moon, being in Aquarius energy, is focused on the future. There is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of clarity that we're still waiting for as far as what the future may hold. But unfortunately for us, we're in this back to the future type of situation and scenario where we have to go back in order to move forward. And that is half of the reason of why this first half of the day isn't going to be as much fun, because there is a disconnect between what it is that we want for ourselves, what we want to be pouring energy, time, and attention into, where it is that we want to make some progress, make some moves, and grow, versus our thoughts, our attention being pulled back to resolve some of the issues of our past. The moon is then going to sextile the North Node in Aries energy. This is beautiful for us because we're getting a vision. We're getting an insight, we're getting a puzzle piece, we're getting an aha moment on where it is that we would like to go, what it is that we would like to build, where it is that we would like to create something new. And of course, the North Node in Aries is trying to get us all on the right path to reach our soul's mission, to reach our soul's potential. And of course, the process and moving forward by being more independent, not being so codependent, by focusing in on what we want, what we need, what we desire as individuals without letting other people's thoughts, opinions, and influence cloud our judgment. This is a changing time where we're starting to finally see where the path forward, where the best path forward for us as individuals is definitely opening up new opportunities for us to make some progress and actually move forward in the right direction. The moon is going to be making a positive interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter's the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. He's retrograde in this Taurus energy, really helping us to grow up, to really kind of glow up, to see where it is that we have a little bit more work to do to really expand on our self-worth, our self-value, our self-confidence. Now, granted, when Jupiter goes direct here at the end of this month and this year, we will have the opportunity moving into 2024 to create new opportunities for ourselves, to bring new things to life. But of course, we can only kind of match some situations, some scenarios where we can expand, where we can grow, where we can kind of build on what it is that we have been working on within ourselves if we're at the right level of self-love and self-worth. So this particular interaction is kind of emotionally, if you will, providing us the opportunity to think long and hard about the kind of situation, circumstance, and scenario that we would be living in if we didn't have the limiting thoughts, the limiting structures, such as, finances, relationship dynamics. How are we going to get there? What does this mean for us? If you could snap your fingers and open your eyes and be living in the ideal situation, what would that look like? What would that feel like? This is the time where we're starting to percolate on those particular emotions, thoughts, and experiences, because of course we have to conjure it up in our inner realm before we can manifest it in our outer realm. So emotionally speaking, we're feeling quite good, quite optimistic, quite positive about some of the possibilities, some of the opportunities that we have at this particular present moment to move on, to move forward, to grow up, to glow up, and really expand on some of the inner work that we have been doing. The moon is then going to interact with Neptune. Neptune, of course, in his place of power in this Pisces energy, he rules over our intuition, our soul contracts, our karma, our imagination, our fantasies, all of the, let's call it, metaphysical realm issues. So this is where we catch a vision, catch a dream. This is where we catch inspiration and motivation. This is where we are just called upon from the higher realms of intelligence to pursue a new path, a new creative expression. The moon interacting with Neptune in this way, it's a positive interaction, which means that we are kind of taking our logical, practical mind space, our intellect, if you will, and we are blending it with our emotions, with our intuition to see where it is that there's overlap and where there is disconnect. Now, the disconnect is going to show us where it is that we have a little bit more work to do to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. But the commonalities, the overlap, the, let's call it, likenesses between the vision and the dream that we feel like we have to pursue versus the vision and the dream that we technically, intellectually want to pursue, there's a lot of commonalities now emerging, which are definitely giving us puzzle pieces, aha moments, hints, and clues on where it is that we're actually coming up with a plan, with a strategy to move forward. The moon is then going to sextile the sun. This is a beautiful interaction. This is the last interaction that the moon in Aquarius will be making before going void of course. Anytime we have an interaction, good, bad, or otherwise, between the moon and the sun, there is a new aha moment. There's a new awareness coming in to our focus from our unconscious realm, from the programming, from the conditioning. An aha moment, an epiphany, something that we can't unknow. Lucky for us, the Aquarian energy, an air energy, Sagittarius energy, a fire energy. This is thought, this is intellect, this is also passion and inspiration. Now, the moon, being in this Aquarian energy, has us seeing where it is that we can push the boundaries of our current circumstances, of our comfort zone, where we can improve, where we can progress, where it is that we can make something good out of a lot of the bad. The moon, in this Aquarian energy, acting as the observer, really seeing the intricate pieces of our emotions, of our thought process, of our circumstances, how they are all kind of connected, what they are supporting, what they are pushing us to do. What we are being pushed to do, the sun shining a bright light, illuminating this new life force energy that we're experimenting with here in Sagittarius energy, really pushing the boundaries of who it is that we believe that we are, who it is that we want to be, what it is that we actually think, how it is that we actually feel, what it is that we're actually dreaming up, and recognizing where it is that a lot of the time the emotion that we're currently not as overwhelmed with here in this Aquarian energy has been fogging our lens. It has been creating a layer of fog, of confusion, because our emotions are what holds us to the past, what keeps our physical body still stuck in the old narratives, the old programming that we're trying to break away from. So this is a huge illumination on where it is that if we just kind of, squash those emotions and align with our higher selves and really put a lot more weight into our, I'm going to say, big picture vision and dream, we could actually see very clearly where it is that we're the problem, we're creating the block, and where it is that we have the opportunity to free ourselves from some of those restrictions. It's at this point in time, 7:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that the moon is going to go void of course. So things get shaky, things get uncertain, we get a little bit nervous about things, and we sit in that until, of course, we're going to shift into that Pisces energy. But we have a couple of aspects that are going to take place while the moon's still in Aquarius energy, but void. So again, not as stable, not as fixed, not as certain as we would like it to be. While the moon in Aquarius energy, void of course, going to make an interaction with Mars. Mars is the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger. He's in the Sag energy, really wanting to take action upon the big ideas, the big vision, the big dreams, the big inspirations and motivations that we're currently having. Now, granted, there's not a whole lot of room for big leaps moving forward, but this particular energy still kind of poking the embers of the fire that we're trying to build within us, really holding on to inspiration, really holding on to new motivation, really seeing where it is that we're passionate about seeing some of these things through. The moon will then interact with Pluto, though. Lucky for us, it is in a positive way in an interaction, which means that there's going to be a major shakeup, major shift in our mood, in our attitude, in our inner realm. Pluto is the great transformer. By destroying the old and really showing us where we have to boss up, step into our power to control the new. This is the inner programming. This is the conditioning. This is the wake up and shake up that we need in our emotions to see where it is that we're overly passionate, overly excited, overly inspired to break away from what once was and to test our, let's call it, emotional waters with what could be. Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, she is going to be making a tough interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer. Now, Chiron is retrograde in Aries energy, and when aspected in a negative way, we focus more on the wounds than we do the healing. Because Venus is all about love and relationships, and because she's doing a deep dive in the Scorpio energy, this is going to illuminate where it is that there is a whole hell of a lot of discontentment in some of our relationship dynamics, where a choice is needed in our relationship dynamics because we cannot continue doing things the way that we've been doing. The problem is that we're very insecure within ourselves, within the relationship dynamics, and we're lacking the confidence that we need to have to actually express ourselves in a real, raw, vulnerable way, which of course is going to create distance in these relationship dynamics because we don't know how to be around these people with a lot to say, but biting our tongue on what to say, and therefore going to create friction that doesn't need to be there. Now, pace yourself, because 10 minutes after this particular aspect happens, and again, not going to feel good, not going to feel safe and secure within ourselves, within our own emotions, especially due to the relationship dynamics that we have to make a choice about, that is when 2:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon is going to move into Pisces energy. And you best believe we all feel like we're running underwater once the moon shifts into Pisces. It can be overwhelming. It can be suffocating because that wave of emotion that we haven't been sitting in because of the emotional detachment, because of the moon in Aquarius energy, it comes flooding back. And what a time just after Venus and Chiron open up all of the old past wounds, the old pain, the old trauma, the old fears, the old insecurities that we have experienced through our lives, through multiple reflections of the relationship dynamics that our vibration, our frequency has attracted us to. So shortly after the moon moves into Pisces energy, which again, going to take a whole hell of a lot of adjusting, we are going to see the moon in Pisces, then semi-square, creating a little bit of a tension and conflict with Chiron. So this is really when we're going to sit in the victimhood mentality, sit in the poor, woe is me. Again, Pisces energy is all consuming. It has no boundaries. Think of the ocean. You know, the ocean takes on so many different states. It can be calm and reflective and peaceful, or it can be choppy as hell and tip your whole boat over and drown you in the middle of the ocean. Because we're kind of all up in our feels, because we're not feeling safe and secure in our own emotions and in our relationship dynamics, because we had that illumination, we are definitely deep diving into all of the wounds in which we are feeling. The poor woe is me, the victimhood mentality. Nothing's ever going to change. They're not going to change. This is as good as it's going to get. I'm going to have to settle. This is pain and trauma. This is constantly just punishment from the cosmos. This whole dialogue going to totally take over. So we're going to sit in that for probably, I'm going to say close to 3 hours. Okay. It's going to be from 2:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 6:30 p.m. Now, at that 6:30 mark, we are going to have the sun, again in Sagittarius energy, the most optimistic, positive mood, attitude, perspective, frame of mind that you could possibly ever have, make a very positive interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. He shakes us up. He wakes us up. He shows us different ways of doing things, different perspectives. He shows us where it is that we're blocking ourselves, where it is that we need to open up our mind, open up our heart space. This is a beautiful interaction because it's going to shake us out of that earlier funk and show us where it is that we have to be more positive, where we have to be more optimistic, where we have to pluck out the silver linings. Things aren't happening to us, they're happening for us. All it takes is a change of perspective to get you out of that victimhood mentality and into warrior mode. This is definitely going to help us do just that. This is going to send a jolt of energy into our highest form of intellect, into the lower levels of intellect, down our physical bodies, in our heart space, and ground us, root us in the here and now, and see the poor woe is me from a totally different light. This is an aha moment. This is an epiphany. This is a shake up. This is a wake up, pushing us to see where it is that we could rise to the challenge or where it is that we could suffocate under it. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Pisces energy coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with Saturn. Saturn is the Lord of Karma. He rules over roles, responsibilities, systems, foundations, and structures. He's in this Pisces energy. We have a new willpower. We have a new discipline based off of our new belief system that we are currently trying to integrate and implement. Now, this particular energy is a little bit serious, a little bit somber. That's what we get from the reality check energy of Saturn, but it's also putting us in a situation to grow up, to be a little bit more accountable, a little bit more responsible for our own damn energy, for our own emotions, for our own perspective. This is a time where we kind of get pulled out of that earlier funk and we realize where it is that we have to boss up, be better, do better, set our sights on overcoming some of these negative ass narratives, these negative emotions, these negative circumstances. This is a situation that will definitely illuminate for us that where we have the ability to grow and evolve if we keep a cool, calm head about ourselves and we don't lose our shit every single time that we get triggered and activated by something that doesn't please us. We cannot get swept away into la la land. We cannot allow our emotions to totally wreck us. This is a test. You've been hearing me talk about this for weeks. As we are approaching this solstice, the dark force entities are coming at us. It is your choice whether or not you're going to stand in your power and let your mental plane and your emotions run your life, or whether or not you're going to align with acting as the observer and seeing these situations as a ploy to pull you back into situations and circumstances that you fought so hard to get away from. This particular energy between the moon and Saturn is almost like a, you know what? You need to get your shit together. You know what? You need to put your head down. You need to do the work. You need to buckle up, get ready to act as the warrior energy that you are meant to be. It's time for us to get organized. It's time for us to focus. It's time for us to really give a lot to this plan, to this path, to this strategy that we have to come up with if we're going to stand a chance in hell of breaking free from the old version of self and the old realm and reality that old version of self has created.